All right, I just saw Captain America Brave New World and I want to talk about it. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was comparable to Captain America Winter Soldier, which was, I think, the best movie of the first trilogy. And this is a great way for the new Sam Wilson trilogy to start. Um, it was a spy thriller feeling movie filled with personal and tangible motivations. Um, Characters kept secrets for believable reasons, characters acted for believable reasons. It's a big world filled with personal motivations. I loved, okay, we're going to talk about my favorite just spot appearances because I heard a lot about we're reshooting this and we're going to have this actor show up now. And honestly, I loved that actor. I have to look at his name in order to pronounce it right. Giancarlo Esposito. Giancarlo Esposito as Sidewinder. I loved him. In Captain America stories, there often is a guy a lot like him. He plays Sidewinder in this one. The Sidewinder, I think, is a costumed villain in the comic books, but in this, he's just a cruel, icy merc, and he's great at it. He really is. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I love seeing members of the Serpent Society start to show up. In fact, in the credits, I didn't even realize he was in. There was this character in the movie. I somehow overlooked it, but in the credits, I noticed that someone was playing Copperhead. I don't know exactly what he did in the course of the movie, but there was a Copperhead in this movie. Um, and so I love seeing elements of the Serpent Society show up. Serpent Society are long-term, uh, in the cast of foes that Captain America is often dealing with. I really hope Diamondback shows up in the next movie. Diamondback is a long running, on again, off again reformed villain girlfriend that Captain America is often dating. I could totally see Sam Wilson having that kind of girl in his life. Captain America in the comic books often loves dating reformed villain girls. He likes the bad girls. The acting in this movie was excellent throughout. I mean, obviously, I mentioned Giancarlo Esposito, but there was Anthony Mackie was excellent. Harrison Ford, excellent. Both those characters brought their A game, both those actors. And Carl Lumbly played Isaiah Bradley. You really felt that dude's acting and powerful stuff. He delivers some powerful scenes. Um, yeah, this movie was much more serious. I mean, not like weighed down by its seriousness, but it's not a yuck yuck fest the way some MCU movies undercut their drama with humor. This movie does not do that. This movie, in fact, doesn't have that many jokes, but there's a couple jokes, especially delivered by Danny Ramirez, who plays the new Falcon. But it's certainly not like an impressive quality to the movie. The way sometimes I think in Thor movies, the humor can get in the way of the film. This film does not do that, nor would I say this film even has much humor. I think there's probably like three scenes that could cause a laugh, and that was about it. And they weren't like going for slapstick at all. They were just tiny little quips. Um, let's see here. So I want to talk about some of the crazy shit I read on the internet. People called this movie Israeli propaganda. I think I first read that comment when they announced Shira Haas would be in this movie playing Ruth Bat Seraph, who in the comic books is an Israeli superhero. In this movie, there's no mention of Israel, and you would have no idea that that character might be Israeli. I thought she was an American in the movie, um, but then I saw comments calling this film Israeli propaganda. It's just no, it's Disney's propaganda. It's not Israelis. It's Disney's propaganda. This is the message Disney wants to propagandize, and it's certainly not the message anyone else is espousing right now. Um, I've read someone call this DEI Captain America. Gosh, in this new apartheid sort of era where we let, kind of racist people take over our structures of power, I'm not surprised that there's a bunch of sycophants to that culture that want to attack any movie led by a black man, especially if once that franchise might have been led by a white man. You think of those racist white dumb fucks marching in, somewhere in the Carolinas saying, "You will not replace us." Well, I think they're terrified of a black man replacing a white man, and it's Anthony Mackie was awesome in this movie. So there you go. It happened in real time, much to their dismay. Again, the acting in this was just great. I think I already mentioned that. Israeli propaganda, DEI, that stuff's ridiculous. This movie was very good. And a great step forward for the MCU. I finally feel like the MCU has reignited my interest. It's been lying flat for a little while, and this movie made me interested in seeing it again. As per usual, the Captain America stories tend to be a little more somber than, like, I don't know, Thor stories and stuff like that. A little less uh, crazy adventure journey, for example, like Ant-Man movies. Um, so this one's a little more grounded, despite having superheroes and super technology and mind control. Um, so yeah, let's go back to the actors in this movie. Tim Blake Nelson, he reprises his role, sort of. He's quite changed. It's been 15 years since he was in the Hulk movie, and he's much worse off for it. You really sympathize with why he would want revenge and would lust for blood, but then he starts hurting innocent people, and you lose all sympathy for his actions over the course of that. Um, did I mention that there was an actor playing Copperhead in this movie? I didn't catch that guy was named Copperhead when I was watching it, but then I saw the credits, and so that was actually two members of the Serpent Society were in this movie, and um, the Serpent Society just love to see them reprise their roles. I hope I already mentioned Diamondback. We'd love to see her as a character come out in the movies, and I would love to see at least one Captain America movie where he's tries to fix the bad girl, because he always does that in the comic books, or he's halfway doing that in the comic books. So it just seems like, in the comic books, he has a dating life. He goes out on dates, and they don't ever have time for that in the movies. Maybe on a TV series they might, but they don't really ever develop that in the movies. But I would like to see that trope in the Captain America movies, because it's definitely a trope in the comic books. Do some more spoilers. I was very excited, or I was very pleased that Disney actually brought in Liv Tyler to do something in this movie, because I actually thought they were going to be too cheap or something like that to have Liv Tyler in this movie, and she is in it, and I appreciate that. So I really enjoyed this movie. Um, I gave it like an 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's comparable to The Winter Soldier. I think it's better than Civil War and better than First Avenger. So that should give you about an estimate of what it feels like, and maybe the estimated quality, assuming you've ever seen those other movies. This movie ends, I've already mentioned spoilers, by the way. This movie ends with the sitting president in prison. I think in apartheid America, this movie is a rejection of that culture. There's so many racist sycophants gathering around structures of oligarchic power right now. This movie doesn't jibe with that. And all those sycophants, man, they want to see a movie led by a black man fail. I hope they spend the rest of their lives, choking on their hate. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I thought Anthony Mackie was great. The cast really delivered. And yeah, I'm excited for the MCU again. That's kind of refreshing. There are some movies coming out that I actually want to see. Thunderbolts looked. As soon as I saw the movie poster for Thunderbolts, I knew I wanted to see it, because I just thought the collection of cast was going to be fun. But you don't look at that movie poster and think it's going to be somber and serious the way Captain America is. Um, but that's okay. There's room for lots of different types of movies. So I was very pleased to see Thunderbolt preview. There was another preview, the Fantastic Four, looked so good. I love that retro futurism, and they totally lean into, this is what people of the 1960s think the future will look like. So they have like all this futuristic 1960s art. They showed some like fancy cars that probably in the 60s would have been described as the car of the future. Um, so I am looking forward to that next Fantastic Four. And it's interesting they really reprised their art style for that movie. So it'll be interesting to see how much that Fantastic Four movie is able to sustain their art style. Will it be consistent throughout the movie? Will it evolve? I mean, it's hard to predict what's going to happen in a Reed Richards, universe because Sue might be the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four, but Reed Richards makes the universe do crazy things. Looking forward to that. So yeah, it feels good to be excited for these movies again because they are a lot of fun when they're clicking on all cylinders. So hopefully MCU keeps clicking on all cylinders, makes more movies like this one, like Captain America: Brave New World. Anyway, I gave it 8 out of 10 or 4 stars. Um, and I think I already told you where I slotted in my hierarchy of Captain America movies. So I guess that's everything I have to say. It ends with the sitting president in prison, but in this movie, the president was quite a bit more humbler than we find in real life right now. Well, I'll sign off with that, and I'll talk to you later.